Thinking is, okay, I need to be seen here. But hopefully at the end of the session, the feeling you should have is that yes, I have gained some knowledge and I've become empowered. That empowering feeling if you get is something, then it fulfills your dream of being here. See, jewelry is never satiating. Remember that. आपको हमेशा एक और चाहिए, एक और चाहिए, एक और चाहिए. You may keep saying that I don't need it now, I'm 50 plus, and women may turn around and say I don't need it. Maybe for my grandchild I have to buy one. Whatever it is. But the fact of the matter is, she's always looking for that last one piece. Your last kabhi nahi hota. It can never be the last. But she'll always say, I think this one, if I get it, after this I don't need any jewelry. Obviously you're looking at solitaires and bigger stones. You can't do those chota, stars and melees and those kind of stones. Jewelry made out of that. Nobody's going to be interested for that. So बोलना बड़ा आसान होता है, so many billions, so many there. Even when we say, that diamonds were born 3 billion years ago. Now 3 billion years ago, just try and put those figures in your mind. It's 300 crore saal pehle. But the potential that India has, the potential women who can buy diamond jewelry or have shown potential in buying diamond jewelry is only 30 million women. Only 30 out of 1.4 billion. Okay, of that 30 million women, only 4% end up buying diamonds in a particular year or year on year.
Because diamonds are marketed as a woman's best friend.
Okay, and why do you think they are marketed as women's best friend?
Because they are.
Okay. And the man's best friend? Today, and some of you, of course, continue with your further courses and studies and understanding more about diamonds. And diamonds is, of course, I'm extremely passionate about because I think it's a subject which is enormous. I mean, it's whether as a stone you want to study, or as a product, or as a jewelry, and eventually, of course, the consumers, because and that's what my expertise has always been. It's on the consumer side of business. Basically, when you say romancing the stone, the big question is, why do women buy diamonds? Any guesses? Anything that you have in mind?
Because they are pretty.
Oh, the women or the women? Okay, because they are pretty. Whosoever is the pretty, I don't know. But that's interesting also. Anybody else?
Because diamonds are marketed as a woman's best friend.
Okay. And why do you think they are marketed as women's best friend?
Because they are.
Okay. And the man's best friend? Anybody else? Why? Okay, forget diamonds. Why do women buy jewelry? Yeah.
It's a psychological factor. If we study the history behind De Beers and marketings forever, it's something that's embedded into centuries and centuries. Kings and queens used to use it, so it just stays embedded that diamonds is the best stone. So it's something that we have our psychological factor as ever since we're little. Diamonds, repeatedly.
So you think
it's a psychological factor.
It's a brainwash.
It's a brainwash.
Okay. Well, actually, there are various different reasons for which consumers are buying diamonds and diamond jewelry. First of all, always remember that consumers are like a rope. And when I say a rope, why do I say a rope? It's because you can actually pull a rope, you can't push a rope. Okay, always remember that. So what it means is that no consumer is just going to walk in. You have to get them into your store, right? So that's where the marketing comes in. And to get any consumer inside your store is you need to deep dive into their minds to understand why would they want to buy anything which is just another stone. Because I always call all the diamond merchants, and all of you are soon going to become one. That we are not just diamond merchants, we are actually dream merchants. We sell a dream. Otherwise, आप एक पत्थर बेच रहे हो, you're literally selling just one stone. Right? So what you are actually selling is a dream, and that's what the woman actually ends up buying. So there is an emotional connect, right? And that's what one needs to build in when you want to bring that consumer to your store or to your business. So that's important. Okay, now understanding consumers and their behavior is a very, very complicated subject. And so if you ask anyone, why have you chosen a BMW? So the answer generally is well built, stylish, good quality, safe, depreciation, blah, blah, blah. There can be a number of other reasons. But generally at the surface of it, the first answer is always just the pure justification that one needs to do. So in the jewelry industry, if you ask any woman, they will generally say investment, मैंने आज investment, invest किया पैसा in the jewelry. But that's purely justification. That's not the motivation. Okay, that always remember that, because the way the consumer thinks is, one is they have to give a justification. They feel so, not that they are obliged to, but they definitely feel that they need to justify any of their acts, whether it's a purchase or anything else. So they need to justify. That's point number one. Second stage is where they need to also see how am I going to look at if I'm buying diamond jewelry or whatever that I'm buying, I have to give a response to the society. So there has to be a separate response for the society. And finally, the third, which is the real reason, is what are you feeling about it? So justification is one, which is all this, right? Ye acha hai, ye hai. Maybe the inherent what you are thinking for the society is the flash value, the status. If I'm driving a BMW or a Merc, I have a status that I have to talk about. So what you're thinking is again from the society perspective, right? So this is a David Ogilvy's quote, which is he's the famous marketing and advertising guru. And the consumer does not behave as he says, he does not say what he thinks, and he does not think what he feels. And that's very, very, very true, because you're all also consumers. You also, if you go and buy something, even if you want to go and buy a shirt, there are going to be different reasons that you're going to give it out to different people. So in this case, for example, if I'm talking about BMW, so the justification is, it's well built, stylish, and good quality, all of that. What he's thinking is, as I said, is all about status. Okay, but obviously you can't say मैं अपना status दिखाने के लिए, I'm buying BMW. They're obviously not going to say that, right? So that's what they're thinking. But what are they feeling? Is like a king of the road. So that's the experience. Feeling is all about how you experience it. So when in the BMW, when I'm actually driving down, I feel like a king. So that's where the experience, the feelings count, right? I mean, for example, if I ask you, why are you all here? Perhaps the justification is going to be, I'm here to learn something, right? You're thinking maybe, यार शक्ल दिखानी पड़ेगी नहीं तो सर हमको गाली देंगे मेरा बैंड बजा देंगे. It's your thinking, not that he's going to do it, but it's somewhere you feel guilty. But that's again because you have to show it to somebody, right? So your justification will be, yes, I'm here to learn something and I'm here to gain some knowledge. The second thinking is, okay, I need to be seen here. But hopefully at the end of the session, the feeling you should have is that yes, I have gained some knowledge and I've become empowered. That empowering feeling, if you get, is something, then it fulfills your dream of being here. So that's so everything gets divided into these three sections. So the consumers are like the iceberg. This is a famous picture, you must have seen it a number of times. So it's all about the justification, as I said, tangible, easy to express justification. So it's very easy for anybody to say that it's an investment value. So I'm buying some kind of a jewelry. But the emotional values that they have is deep inside. And that's something extremely difficult to really understand till you do the market research, and also not just do the market research, deep dive into it, which is done by the implicit system, which is a science by itself, which actually gives you a lot of insights into the consumer behavior. Okay. So this is what that implicit system is, scientific, which is designed by Edward de Bono, right? Now this is for a luxury segment. These are various number of reasons for which you end up buying some kind of a luxury. I'm not referring only diamonds out here. Any kind of a luxury, like even if you are buying a BMW or something, whether it's for the status, whether it's for self-assertion, whether it's for enhancement, expressive enjoyment, social recognition, and reassurance. I mean, these are the primary reasons for anybody to end up buying, any kind of a luxury. I don't want to deep dive into this further because it's a highly complicated and it's too much of a subject to actually get into it in half an hour or 45 minutes. But nonetheless, remember that these are some of the reasons for which luxury is bought. But when it comes to diamonds, any guesses again? Anybody wants to give any, now that you know the three reasons, the justification and the thinking and the feeling?
Emotional, I said first. I think that's also
No,
very
it is, yeah. But again, emotions are divided into various different reasons. There are motivations which are, of course, purely for emotional reason. As I said, otherwise,
It makes you feel special.
it's just a
You
storm.
possess something which is precious and probably very costly.
Mhm.
You feel special. I think that
Okay.
you're associated with the occasions.
So would you
and-
say that lab grown, because it's not costly, so it won't stand a chance?
Well, sir, I could have an argument with that.
Okay. Anyway, so the first one is stature and identity. So in a way, yes, it is about the status. When you flash a diamond, you carry a certain status in society, you carry a status in your own mind. That if I'm wearing a 1 carat or 2 carat or 5 carats, then definitely there is a status. But it also establishes the identity of a person in a way that if you're wearing diamonds, that you are, arrived in life. That's the perception. That's again the society perception. So it's again, so the justification is investment. The thinking is about status and establishing your identity. But actually feeling, that experience is all about when I wear diamonds, I look beautiful or I look pretty. Somebody said that, right? So that's the feeling part of it. So stature and identity is all about feeling beautiful within. That's the confidence that a consumer, the diamonds actually give it to the consumer. The second reason is enrichment. Now, enrichment is all about in a love relationship. So a woman always wants her husband to gift it to her. Now, unfortunately, in India, men are not that expressive. They don't even go out and say, "I love you." It's seriously unfortunate part of it, but that's a fact of life, and that's where the woman is always waiting. But having said that, because she knows her husband very well, because she knows the culture that we come from, so she'll definitely nudge him, to go and buy a diamond. So, and at the end of it, most of the time is the woman who goes out and buys it, but she says, "Mere husband ne mujhe gift kiya." Because that's what she needs to show it to the society. And it's real. What I'm telling you is actual real reasons that we have done a deep research on this. Right? So that's called enrichment, where you actually want your husband to gift it to you and then show it to the world that how much my husband loves me. Kare na kare, that's a different story. That's different material. But that's what you want to show it off. Right? So that's called enrichment. The third reason is reward. Reward is I have arrived in life because all women today are working and they have their own, they are economically getting independent. So if I have achieved something in life, which need not necessarily mean only at the workplace, it can be even at home or even in any other professional profession that she has. But if she feels that I have done something great, so I need to reward myself. I need a diamond. I deserve a diamond. Right? So when you were saying emotions, so these are the different emotions. Whether I want to feel beautiful, whether I want to tell the world how much my husband loves me, or whether I think I have arrived in life, so I deserve a diamond. So these are the three main reasons. There are another three reasons, right? So there are totally about 6 motivations to buy jewelry, and these are called need states, as I was just telling you. These are the needs for which a woman ends up buying diamond jewelry. The fourth one is social desirability, and this is where mostly it is more for wedding segment. The bridal jewelry that we sell is purely because the social desirability is all about, again, to the society I have to show कि मेरे पास एक diamond set है, gold jewelry set है, एक colored stone का set है, and that all this happens around the wedding time when there are so many different occasions for which she has to keep wearing different kinds of jewelry with different outfits. So that's the social desirability, is to showcase it to the world that these are the reasons I have so much of one-upmanship. This is a very interesting one. This is basically for the cocktail circuit, for the evening conversations, right? And when you say cocktail rings or cocktail earrings also, is something which is all about show off. Okay, where अगर उसने 1 कैरेट डाला तो मुझे 1.5 कैरेट डालना है. It's all about one-upmanship, right? Because I want to show it to the world that if she can wear a 1 carat, I'm going to wear maybe a 2 carat. So the next party that they meet again, for sure she's going to wear a 2 carat, and then show it to the woman who was wearing a 1 carat. So this is again a reality which happens. And the last one, fulfillment. Now this is actually a piece. See, jewelry is never satiating. Remember that. आपको हमेशा एक और चाहिए, एक और चाहिए, एक और चाहिए. You may keep saying that I don't need it now. I'm 50 plus, and women may turn around and say I don't need it. Maybe for my grandchild I have to buy one. Whatever it is. But the fact of the matter is, she's always looking for that last one piece. Your last kabhi nahi hota. It can never be the last. But she'll always say that I think this one, if I get it, after this I don't need any jewelry. Because I'll be fulfilled, my desires will be all fulfilled, and which again she expects the family to gift it, not necessarily again husband here, because husband will be in the enrichment. Here maybe she wants it from the family, maybe her son or daughter or anybody else. Over the years, because now she's 50 plus, so I've done enough for you and blah blah blah. So I deserve a diamond, but it has to come from you, and that will fulfill me, and which eventually for her is also needs to be the heirloom, which she can then pass it on to her grandchild. वो उसके दिमाग में जरूर होता है that even if I have gone, I'll still be remembered for that piece, because she expects that grandchild to then flash it to somebody else कि मेरी दादी माँ ने या मेरी नानी माँ ने मेरे को दिया था. So that's the heirloom. So that is that fulfillment which she thinks she's going to get it from her family, and that's going to fulfill her desire. But as I said, it's never. If it gets fulfilled in this, and then you're always looking for another one, right?
And
But
there's even a company, sir, in the States, they made like, if you die, they take your ashes and
Yeah.
they make it into a diamond.
you can convert it into a diamond. Yes, that's true. That's carbon. Basically, ashes are all carbon. So but that's totally a different reason. If at all there is one, so it's not normally worn, and that's why it still hasn't gotten popular. So these are the primarily the 6 reasons for which you end up buying. Okay, you'll soon get to know. So how did we do the alignment as bills? Right? Study to kar liya, now what do I do with all this information? The biggest challenge is always that, right? Once you've done the consumer research, you need to really understand how you're going to apply it in the market. So the first one is this nakshatra, okay, which was all about stature and identity. And this was way back in 1999, please remember that, when Aishwarya had just won the world, most beautiful woman in the world, right? That title, that was I think in 94 or 95, and 94, that's right. And by then she had got one movie released in 99, and which was a major flop. So she was nobody. Otherwise, she was struggling in the Bollywood, and still we ended up signing up with her. Why? Because it fits in well with the stature and identity of feeling beautiful. If I wear this nakshatra jewelry, I'm going to actually look as beautiful as Aishwarya. And that's why even the tagline was "A Star is Born." And it was the same old design. It was a fuddy-duddy design, if I may say so then, which was only worn by 45 plus or 50 plus women, in that age group. We wanted to make it contemporary, we wanted to make it young, we wanted to make it stylish, we wanted to make it exciting enough for the youngsters to come and buy. And that's why we took Aishwarya Rai. And mind you, this Madhuri Dixit was at number 1 at that point in time. Yet, we actually decided on Aishwarya Rai, who was nobody at least in Bollywood, but still we decided to go ahead. It was a big gamble for us, but it paid off really well. And after we introduced this, of course, as they say, rest is history. The market opened up, and right from $400 million worth of consumption, which was there, finally it went right up to $8 billion. So that 2,000% growth actually happened because of opening of the market. Sorry.
That's insane. I was just reacting to that number.
Yeah. It's a crazy growth, and it's become a case study even in De Beers, even till today. I have been invited to even Kellogg's, university, and where I've actually presented on Nakshatra, have presented at IIM Ahmedabad. So various different places. This has become a great case study of how the whole market changed because of just one brand. But that was also because of the deep understanding of the consumer behavior. Because without that, it becomes extremely difficult. You are just shooting in the dark. You still don't know why the consumer is coming and buying something from you. So that's critical. The second one is Aricia. I don't know how many of you have actually seen this. And I know that I had a tough time convincing my bosses in London to get Maharani Gayatri Devi as the brand ambassador. And they couldn't believe, because at that point in time she was 75 years old. And they said, Prasad has gone bonkers. He wanted a 75-year-old model. Obviously, they didn't know who Maharani Gayatri Devi is. But why did I do that? There was again a very strong reason for it. Because we wanted to promote 1 carat plus stones. Okay? And when we did a research again, and we had a research where we had who's who of the industrial world. I mean, we had Neeta Ambani, Tina Ambani, we had Parmeshwar Godrej, those kind of people. And just one thing which we asked them was that you have tons of money, okay, but is there anything that you miss in life, in spite of all the money that you have? And the common answer was that we miss the blue blood. The blue blood being the royalty. Yeah. We were not born, we may be more richer than the royals today, but the fact is that we don't have that blue blood. We are not born in that family. And that's what we miss. And in fact, one of the quotes where the woman actually said that when Maharani Gayatri Devi, she walks into a room, she may be just wearing a simple khadi sari. Of course, she was also one of the most beautiful ladies in her heydays, in her younger days. But she had her own aura. But whenever she walks into a room, she may be, wearing just a simple khadi sari. But the rocks that she wears, and literally these were the words, the rocks that she wears says it all. That she comes from a royal family. And that's why I insisted that I want Maharani Gayatri Devi as my brand ambassador. And just interesting anecdote there is that when I approached her, she was very happy. She says, yeah, I'm more than happy. In fact, she also asked me the same thing. Are you sure that you want me as a brand ambassador or you want somebody younger? I said, no, I want you. And so when we got onto the commercials, that, what is she going to charge? And she was very intrigued. She says, oh, so I'm going to get paid also. Because she being a royal, obviously she had never done that. And I was feeling awkward. Ki Maharani ko aap kitna payment karoge? I mean, I had no clue. But ultimately she says, obviously I don't need the money, but you can, she supports a lot of charity. So you can pay whatever you want. If you want to pay 1 rupee or 1 crore or whatever it is, you can pay the charity. So we ended up paying the charity. But that was another interesting aspect of Maharani Gayatri Devi. This one is the social desirability. This was all about Vivah, diamond Vivah jewelry that we did. It was to understand, because at that point in time, this is way back in the 90s, this particular, in 99 or 2000, where, gold was making inroads into, in fact, even till date, honestly, it's gold that takes the precedence over diamonds. But for weddings, so you must have a gold set for sure, because that's also seen as Sri Dhan, So all that is deep rooted in our Indian culture. So, but that's where we introduced diamonds, and they did really well. And purely because of social desirability, because we said you must also own a diamond set in your bridal jewelry. And this was a gift to diamond, or even a brand called Sangeeni. And that's where the word Sangeeni, which was all about husband to wife gifting. Okay, and which was the enrichment that I was talking about. So it was all about Sangeeni as a brand, and this was another, a generic promotion that we did, which is gift to diamond, which was all about husband gifting it to wife, whether it's an anniversary or a birthday or whatever may be the occasion. But you need to gift a diamond to your wife. I mean, that was the whole message. So I mean, this is the kind of alignment that one needs to do, and that's something which is critical, because just understanding the consumer behavior, how you translate it into your jewelry, or because even when I tell you there are 6 different motivations, what it also means is your designs are going to change. Like one-upmanship, which is all about that Aricia as a brand. obviously you're looking at solitaires and bigger stones. You can't do those chota, stars and melees and those kind of stones. Jewelry made out of that. Nobody's going to be interested for that. And similarly, when you are actually talking about looking beautiful, you have to see the latest trends, what's really working in the market, because she has to feel beautiful. It can't be some old funny design. So all your designs actually change dramatically. And that's what matters. Even eternity ring or engagement rings and all of that, which of course is the further segmentation that you have to do, whether it's pre-wedding, wedding, and post-wedding. Right? So all that one has to do is to really deeply study which segment are you talking to. We all talk about Johnny Walker. I'm sure most of us know. But there again, under the umbrella of Johnny Walker, you still have a red label, a black label, and a blue label, which is purely a consumer segmentation. So that doesn't mean that we will lose people from one segment to the other. So those who are having blue label, they are never going to go and have red label. And those who are having a red label, they're not actually going to move to blue label. But yes, eventually they like to graduate to blue label. So similarly, even here, eventually everyone wants to graduate to solitaires. The bigger the stone, the better it is, because it's all about one-upmanship. And eventually they want to show their status to the world. So, what are the occasion alignments? Other than the need states, as I said, other than the motivation to buy jewelry, are there any different alignments when you do it by occasion? Now, here what happens is, unlike man, man has just one simple role. The day he starts earning until he dies, perhaps, he's just getting into the livelihood for himself and for the family. That's the single role that a man normally has. But that's a reality. I know. It's amusing, but that's a reality. But whereas a woman has very different roles at different stages in her life. These are the phases of her life. That at 18 to 24, roughly, she's more of daughter, sister, and girlfriend because she's part of that family. Then she gets married and she becomes wife and a daughter-in-law. Eventually, she becomes a mother and then the grandmother. And each stage of her life have different occasions for her to go and buy jewelry. Right? So that's something which we need to understand, and not only understand her motivations to buy those. Now, so that's why when we say motivations to buy jewelry, when she's at 18 to 24 and she's just a daughter, sister, or girlfriend, so she's maturing into a woman and she gets influenced totally by her mother's style. Okay, so the first exposure that she has of jewelry is from her mother, and that's where she gets influenced by her mother. So there is all about self-gratification, success in career, style statement, is all that she's getting into. So there is an aspiration and there is a reward that she's looking for. So that's the kind of a motivation that she has. When she becomes, and she gets married and she becomes a wife or a daughter-in-law, then it's all about the social status of that new acquired family, the in-laws family, so to say. मुझे जाके बताना पड़ेगा, like, society में, कि I belong to a very good family. So that's where, it's all about the social status, the beauty and the celebration, because there are a whole lot of occasions that come. The day you get married, there are so many different occasions and so many different functions and so many different parties that one needs to attend over the first 5 years of your wedding, that you definitely, need a different kind of jewelry. And so the motivation there is inherent is all status. I have to show my status to the society. And so whatever the function may be, whatever the occasion may be, but I have to have a decent amount of jewelry and different kind of jewelry to have this kind of, to showcase my status. And of course, once she's a grandmother, it's all about investment for the next generation. This is where the heirloom factor comes in. I want to be remembered by my grandchildren for this piece of jewelry, which I'm going to hand it over to them. So that becomes, and of course, there is always a peer pressure, because even at that age, when you go to a kitty party, the woman is going to tell her that I've just gifted a 2-carat diamond to my grandchild. So she has to go and maybe gift it 2.5 carat, whatever it is, So that's the way it works. And then of course, for all these motivations, you have various different gifting occasions. So whether it's 16th birthday, 18th birthday, higher secondary results, Rakhi, Bhaiya Dooj, graduation, engagement, wedding, first job, 21st birthday. Then once she gets married, then it gets into that post-wedding segment. So you get into the Karwa Chauth and 25th birthday and 1st and 5th anniversary, promotion, wedding, childbirth, 5th and 10th anniversary, husband's promotion. So for all this, you have various different occasions for which she comes and buys jewelry. Okay, and that's something which is very important. And finally, of course, as a grandma, she'll be looking for wedding of grandchild and her 60th birthday, and of course, all along is different festivals such as Diwali, Eid, Christmas, whatever it may be, various different festivals that we have. So she keeps buying jewelry. So, but having said that, the average in India, the Indian market, is a woman comes to buy diamond jewelry once in 18 months, right? As against that, in gold, she buys once in 6 months. And that's where the stock turns are very different for different, kind of jewelers and the way they promote themselves. But the fact of the matter is that this is where the marketing plays a very vital role. That how can we reduce that 18 months to maybe 12 months and eventually to 6 months, and compete with gold. But I don't know how many of you know. Do you have any idea how large is the Indian market? It's about $75 billion. Okay, of which 50 billion is the domestic market and roughly 25 billion is the export market. Okay, so it is pretty large. It's yeah.
So when we talk about market, are we talking about the retail side of market, or is it like including the resellers and all other people?
It's purely the consumer market. What the consumer consumes. If you see, that is the what you're talking about is the stock in the pipeline. Right? Stock in the pipeline as of today, the diamond stock pipeline is about 3.5 million carats. Okay, which is at various different levels, right from the rough to the end consumer, that is to the retailers. So that is about roughly 3.5 million carats, which is there in the country as of today. But the actual, when you do the value additions, it goes to the diamond market goes to about 6 billion as of today, right? Because of the fall in prices that have happened. Otherwise, it was 8 billion and has slightly come down over the years. But it's about 6 billion at the moment. As against that, the total market is 50 billion. So we are hardly 10-12% as diamond jewelry. So the total market is about 50 billion. Exports is roughly about 25 billion. Again, this year there have been certain issues. It's still reached only 16 billion. Still miles to go. But those are the kind of figures. But what is very interesting is, any idea what is the percentage that it contributes to the national GDP? Gems and jewelry, you should be proud of these figures, and because you're part of this gems and jewelry industry.
Roughly 8%.
Sorry, how much?
8%.
Yeah, it is 7%. And 7% at almost $4 trillion, right? So that's a huge number. It's 280 billion. 280 billion is, when converted, would be what? Almost 17-18 lakh crore. So you can imagine the numbers, that if in the lakh there will be 5 zeros. So 17, 5 zeros, and then another 7 zeros. So बोलना बड़ा आसान होता है, so many billions, so many there. Even when we say, that diamonds were born 3 billion years ago. Now 3 billion years ago, just try and put those figures in your mind. It's 300 करोड़ साल पहले, 300 करोड़ साल, right? And what it also means is that these diamonds, what you see today, were actually born 3 billion years ago. So and also the other fact about diamonds is every diamond is as unique as the person wearing it, or as unique as your fingerprints, right? So if I'm wearing a diamond today, let's say in 2024, what technically I can say as a marketing guy, and I'm not lying, is because the fact is it is as unique as the person wearing it, so this diamond is special only for me. It was made only for me. And it was made 3 billion, 300 crore saal pehle, somebody up there thought about Prasad that in 2024 he's going to wear this diamond. It gives you goosebumps.
Yeah.
Seriously, it gives you goosebumps. So this is older than the Himalayas, what I'm wearing. So so these are the facts when you actually give it to the consumers. This is what sells. अगर आप बोलो भाई 1 कैरेट है, 1.5 कैरेट है, ऐसा है, इसका इतना प्राइस है, you are going to fall flat. You have to tell the individual what he or she wants to hear. It's not about the price. Price is the last of their worries. Even the design when you're trying to sell, there has to be a story behind that particular design. What has inspired that? Why did we call it a nakshatra? It was an old design. It's been there for the last 500 years. And it's going to be there for the next 500 years. But it was all about a story that the center stone is your sun and the other stones revolving around other planets. So it's a nakshatra. So it's a story, nothing else but a story. So every diamond that you sell has to have a story, and that's where you need to give out those. So obviously the romance continues, and with of course lab-grown coming in, the market has changed a bit. There is a whole lot of restructuring which is happening at the moment, but that's something which will stay. There's both your natural diamonds and your lab-grown diamonds are there to stay because of various different reasons. See, the biggest change, okay, if you were saying is today you need not have a celebrity, you can just have a bunch of influencers.
Okay.
They can do the job for you, equally well. The moment you know somebody who has a 1 million follower and you have 5 of them, you have a huge chunk that you're already reaching. In that, of course, you do further your geo-targeting and also you do your filtering and you have the right target audience with you. So let's assume that you're doing between 25 to let's say 40, and that's the basic younger range that you're looking at. So obviously they have the reach with the digital media, which perhaps a 45 or 50 plus may not be that comfortable using it. So obviously your target audience is going to be there. The other fact of this target audience is they're all talking about sustainability. They're all talking about eco-friendly products. To the extent I was surprised, recently did a research, and 77% of Indian audience actually talked about eco-friendly products they want to use, not necessarily diamonds. But they have been talking about, so in fact even in the 5-star hotels that you go now, you find a lot of these sustainability and eco-friendly messages, to the extent that even your toothbrush that they give you is made out of bamboo. So I mean that's the way the world is changing. So that's where even what you're offering to the consumers have to keep all this this target audience and their behavior and their consumer insights. As I said, these consumer insights are still valid. It's just the age factor where now when it comes to the affordability, because even at 21, 25, you obviously want to look beautiful, right? And that continues till you are 60 or maybe 60 plus, whatever it is. But the fact of the matter is that is inherent to buying jewelry. So there is going to be a reason. Now whether can I afford a 1 carat, maybe I'll buy a lab grown of 1 carat. Or I may still go for the smaller diamonds because I still want to continue with my natural diamonds. So that doesn't mean that, if my pocket permits me 25,000 rupees, that's so be it. By the way, if you really see the Indian market, the acquisition rate. See, first of all, when we talk about Indian market, we talk about 1.4 billion people, and you sound so big, but the potential that India has, the potential women who can buy diamond jewelry or have shown potential in buying diamond jewelry is only 30 million women. Only 30 out of 1.4 billion. Okay, of that 30 million women, only 4% end up buying diamonds in a particular year or year on year. Only 4%. So we did a further research to understand why that balanced 96% is not buying. Because on one hand, you say there is a potential. Okay, but on the other hand, they're still not buying. So there has to be a reason for it. And that reason, we figured it out that the sweet spot to buy any kind of jewelry is 30,000 rupees, roughly $400, 30 to 35,000 rupees. Okay, in that 35,000, can you afford to give them the natural diamonds? It doesn't work. Anything meaningful that you want to buy in diamonds, there the average ticket value goes to 70,000 rupees. Now, if I can't afford that 70,000, I'm not going to extend my budget more than twice. Just to reach from 30,000, I can't afford to buy something 70,000. So either I may end up buying plain gold jewelry, or I may end up buying seasoned jewelry, because I still aspire for diamonds. I can't afford it. But now with lab growns coming in, and where you can actually get that, the lab grown diamond will be a half a carat ring or a pendant for 35,000 rupees. That's where it's selling. Consumer end, there is absolutely no resistance. Absolutely no resistance. They are more than happy to buy lab grown diamond jewelry, as long as there is a transparency involved. They very clearly know what they're buying. Also, they very clearly know that these are identical to the natural diamonds. Okay, their usual question is that if it's identical, why is it so cheap? Because obviously if it's cheap, it's a fake. That's consumer nature, it's a human nature, then you'll always perceive that. The simple answer to that, first of all, is that technically, natural diamonds, it's God's gift to mankind. So technically, it should have been free to you. God ने दिया भाई, आप किस बात का charge कर रहे हो मुझे? Right? And again, I'm not lying. This is a fact. But what you're paying, you and I and all of us are paying, we are paying for the mining cost. Right? Now, in lab grown, because there is no mining cost, so that benefit is being passed on. It's plain and simple like that. There has been a very interesting research which was done in Japan. Nothing to do with diamonds. I'll come to diamonds a little later. But for Coke, right? They were doing market research for Coke. And the first time when they put up those vending machines of Coke cans, on an average they were selling about, let's say, 100 cans, in a day, which obviously wasn't enough. So they did further research to understand why only 100 are selling, because they were expecting much larger figure. At that point in time, basically the question in a consumer's mind was, do I need a Coke at all? Do I need to drink? Right? So it was all about the category, confusion. Do I have to drink any beverage? Or I don't know, I don't want to drink. Right? So that was the yes or no factor between that. Then what this research agency did, they had another machine of Pepsi put right next to it. And from 100, then both Coke and Pepsi started selling 200 each, which means from 100 it became 400. Okay, so they further did a research to understand why suddenly it has multiplied. Then it came out, then it was not about the category, whether should I be drinking or not. It is now I have to drink, which one do I take? Should I take Coke or should I take Pepsi? So that goes out of the window of that thinking, whether I'm supposed to drink anything or not. Am I really, thirsty, and do I really need one? That has gone out of the window, that thinking. Now, dono samne hai, now I have to decide which one am I going to have. Should I drink Pepsi or do I drink Coke? As simple as that. So, coming back to lab grown and natural, ideally I feel it's just consumer's choice. The more choice that you give them, the better it is for the consumer, right? The problem is their perception, the retailers, is that if I keep that under the same roof, then the consumer may think that whatever I have bought for so many years, does that really mean that, he's been selling me lab grown? That time उसने declare नहीं किया, अभी वो declare कर रहा है. I mean, that's again a perception and which can happen. So that's why you have to be very, very careful. The ideal way is that, let's say you are Hazuri Lal, for example, right? So you have all your jewelry as Hazuri Lal, and if you are going to keep lab grown, you do it under the X brand. A new brand. So this is another offering that I'm giving. The choice is yours. See, it's just that the way jewelers keep gold, silver, and platinum. These are choices. Finally, it's just a metal. The consumer decides I want to buy a silver jewelry or a gold jewelry or a platinum jewelry. The same way, this is just one, another offering that you have, another choice that you are offering. It's just that because it's new and there is so much of hue and cry which is happening in the market, that you have so many different, barriers in a consumer mind. In trade's mind. There is absolutely no consumer barrier in the consumer mind. In fact, the line that I always quote is either double the size or half the price. या तो मैं बड़ा diamond लूँगा because I can afford it. See, also here the consumer psychology. Please remember that if I have been given, let's say 5 lakh rupees to be, as my budget to buy jewelry today, by my family, by my husband, whoever, right? Then just because I'm getting something for 50,000, that doesn't mean that 4.5 lakh I'm going to go back and say, well, I've saved you the money. That's complete bullshit. She will end up spending that, 4.5 lakh also. She may end up buying maybe 5 more pieces. She's going to spend. So that's why. So either she'll go for double the size, and buy maybe a 2 carat or 3 carat or whatever that she wants to buy. And or if she doesn't believe in those solitaires or she doesn't want to go and she's new to the category of diamonds, because she's always aspired for it, and so far I was buying only Caesar jewelry, but now I'm happy buying this because it's half the price or maybe even lower than that. So you have both sides of consumers, and that's why I personally feel that you should offer. There's nothing wrong in offering lab grown or mine diamonds natural together. But yes, it's a dilemma for it.
I hope all of you enjoyed this presentation by Prasad. Prasad's an amazing speaker. It's not the first time that I am listening to him, but then every time that you listen to him, you walk away with desirability for this product, right? For this category of product that we're all into globally. In fact, I was just thinking, some people were asking some questions about business opportunities. And if there is one, here is one, right? You just get Prasad to speak to a whole bunch of people and have a diamond stored outside.
Done. I'm game for it.
Yeah.